Okay, I apologize. My camera keeps cutting out on me for some reason. I'll have to look and make sure that you're able to see what I was doing there. Otherwise, what I did do, in case you weren't, is I added the highlight from the stem in as the yellow for these sepals, and it looks much better. Okay, so now we need a much darker value, and I'm going to pick up my palette knife to create a darker value green. And to create a darker green than what you had, you need that blue. Added to it to darken it. Just do a little bit more blue. Okay, there we go. That's getting darker. The leaves are much darker than the sepals. So just by adding that blue in there, we'll darken it quite a bit. I'm just going to bring it up to the mid value and darken that a little bit too, so that it's easier to blend. And then the highlight, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to add a lot of white, because you want to create the highlight in the leaves, that lighter blue white. So I'm just picking up the white and bringing that over. I want it to be pretty stark in comparison to the other two values. I want it to be much whiter. But I did want some of that blue in there, and that's what this is doing, so that's good. And the test is really when you put it on the board. And if you have to adjust it, then that's what you're going to do. Now I'm going to go back up to my number 4 brush. I'm going to dry wipe it. Don't want to enter any water into this, because that could pick up color off of the board. So let's start with the highlight. That's going to be the most important on the leaves. See how nice and white that is in comparison? Now I got my handy dandy tool here because I went over my stem, which I did not want to do. So I'm going to just pick that up as best I can. Clean it off so you don't reapply it. Try the other side of the tool. That's working better. See how it just picks that paint right up off of that stem. So I've just created my stem again. Wanted the white right up against it, and I didn't turn my board to get a nice line. So I ended up covering up my stem. This will not pick up dry paint, but it will pick up the wet paint. Just so you're aware that you don't have to worry about the dry paint underneath. It's not going to go anywhere. There we go. Okay, so we got that white in. It's actually got to come down just a tad. Like that. And this side's got almost a straight line down it. Down to about there. And some of it does fan out over here. And I've got a hair on the edge of my brush. I can see it. There we go. Got it first try. I know there's a lot of folks out there that won't touch their paints like that, but you know, I've been painting it for so many years. If I was going to die from my paint, I'd be long gone. Been painting since '84, and it's 2025, so long time. All right, so that's our first value. I'm going to go to the very dark, so I want that contrast right in here. I'm going to put it right up against that stem. Get that dark value in there. And this one's just got a little bit of dark down in here. And so I don't ruin my stem, I'm going to turn it and get the bristles of my brush creating that outside of that stem for me. All right, so now I'm going to dry wipe my brush again. Get that dark value out of there, and I'm going to go to my mid value. This could actually be a tad darker, so I'm going to just go down and pick up a little bit more of the dark value and add that in. That's better. Now there is some more dark that comes in over there. And on this side, there's just a little bit in the center. There we go. And this side of it only has the light and the dark. I do want to get some dark into this spot over here, though. And that outside edge there, so I'm going to turn it so I can get at that outside edge. There we go. Okay, now I can see I went out the outside of my leaf. So I'm going to pick up my handy dandy tool. Like I said, I want this to look exactly the way I want it, because we won't be coming back to it. If you're not having real good success with one side, you can turn it over and try the other side. And yeah. there is a line here in between these leaves that I went over. Wiping it off in between so you don't reapply the paint you just picked up, just like your brushes. Make sure that edge is nice and clean. Okay. Now we might have to do that again after I'm done blending, because blending causes that sometimes. All right. Make sure that you can see me, and it looks like you can. And I'm just laying my brush down between the two colors and blending them together. Now, if you felt that you needed to go down in size of brush at this point, go for it. It's whatever you're the most comfortable with. I like to use the largest brush that I can in an area and learn to manipulate my brush by doing just the edge, so that I'm controlling my brush a little bit more that way. I watch some of these folks paint on, I was going to say TV, but YouTube, and they have these little tiny brushes, and I think to myself, oh my God, you must be painting for hours and hours and hours. But all we see are the edited. The smaller the brush, the longer it's going to take. So learn to control the largest size brush you can. The better off you will be. Alright. Turn this again. Using the tip of my bristles there for the blending, because it's such a small area. Alright, now with all that light in there, you can really see when you go over. The edge too much. But this does such a nice job. In the resource material, this actually comes out over this, but I didn't care for that. There we go. That outside edge looks good. getting all these little white dots all over the place. Blend in this section first. Straddle the two values. Walk your hand back. See how I'm, because it's such a small area, tilting my brush up. This paint, because it's sat out for a couple of days, has a completely different feel than when you start it right out from the tube. Feels a lot stiffer, which is good. I'm used to that. I don't like it to be real wet, because it's never gonna dry in a million years. I'm going to reapply some dark in this area. Looks like I actually picked some of it up by mistake. And soften it in. Okay, let's get that stem in. We're going to use the mid value. Of the stem of the rose. Pretty close. There's a little bit of yellow off to the side. Now I had gone over that by mistake, so I just want to make sure I get that back in there. I'm going to go to straight yellow ochre, I think will be the good color. Yeah. Just reloading my brush, straight yellow ochre right off my palette. And it's going to be right on this edge. Turn my brush over. I'm just using the very chisel edge. The flat edge is the chisel edge. So I'm just using the chisel edge to get this value in there. Now I'm going to drop down to my smaller brush for blending purposes because it's a really small area. Just dry wiping the paint that was on there off. And I'm going to just gently blend those values together. But you know, I really want that to be more of a dark green with the dark areas. And since I'm still here, I'm going to make some more of that. All I did was pick up a little bit of the ultramarine blue and I'm adding it to the green value that was there. I'm just blending it all together. And again, once you get it on your surface, that's the real test to see if it's the value you're looking for. Can look great on your palette, but my palette's white. You can buy gray palettes if you want, which gives you a truer color. I'm going to stay with my small brush and load it on both sides. Yeah, you see that's not even dark enough yet. So I'm just adding in more blue. I'm gonna go to, I've got gray out on my palette, Paynes Gray. I'm gonna just try a touch of that. You don't wanna go crazy with that because that can really darken it pretty quickly. And with that blue in there, it can turn purple, so you want to be cautious of that. Adding in just a pin drop of yellow. You want to keep it in the green family. I'm always wiping my palette knife off so that the next time I pick it up, it's not full of a value I didn't want on there. Okay, let's try this again. It could still be darker yet. So we're going to pick up a little bit more of that gray, Paynes Gray, and add that in. It's amazing how dark this looks on my palette, that it wouldn't be dark enough. You never know until you try it. Just blending it really well. I am going to try just a touch of the burnt umber too. Sometimes you just got to play with a color to get it to do what you want it to do. Oh, that might be better. Alright, I'm going to dry wipe my brush, get all that other color out of there. I'm loading both sides of my brush. That's better. That's darker. It's definitely a grayer for sure. turn this so I can get at this edge. Just a little bit of that value in there. Now let's blend this and we'll take a look at it and see if that's going to show up a little bit better with that dark. I think it will. Turn this around. You always want to pull your blends towards you so you can see what you're doing. If you're pushing it, you're going to be picking up paint rather than blending. That's not going to work too well. Now in this one too, there is just a touch of yellow right in here to pick up a little bit more yellow ochre. And that's okay, because now we're adding in some of the highlight from here. So we're making that value and color. Going throughout the design, which is a good thing. That's what we want. There's actually some up on that edge too, so we'll do that right away. A little bit of yellow up in this edge. That's better. It's got a little bit more of the value that we want in there. Clean up this edge. Yep, that's better. All right. Now this one also, yeah, just a touch more of that highlight. Right in here. Not a lot. Yep, some of that can come down here. So it needs to be a little lighter down there. All right. Dry wipe your brush. Back your hand up on that number. A lot of what we're doing here is studying our resource. Is there yellow in there? Is there green in there? Is there gray in there? What's in there? Around this way so I can pull it towards me when I need to. going to just blend these colors together right here where they meet. Making sure my stem edge looks good. Just soften this entire area in like this because it's too much like a line and it really doesn't look like that. There we go, that's better. But we still have that demarcation there, just not quite so harshly. Straightening out my edges. Okay. Now I know the reference material has those highlights looking really, really blue, but I got a feeling that that is basically a camera fault. So I don't want to necessarily repeat that fault, and that's why I'm going with a little bit more of a light green than the blue. Okay, I'm going to start on the next leaf. This area is a little bit wider than the way I had it, so we're going to just do that as we paint. And the only other real highlight on this one is right in this area. Alright, now we've got a real dark shadow underneath this highlighted area. You don't want to lose your stem. This is a pretty dark shadow in here. I'm just going to break it up a little bit because that's the way it looks on the reference material. And then using some of my color over here, my value, so I'm going to just create some more. It's amazing that you would run out of paint, but you do. It seems like you got just a ton made. Try wiping my brush. Alright, so right up on top of that highlight there is a green value. Actually comes right down in here. It's pretty light still. So I'm just adding a little bit more yellow, a little bit more ultramarine. That's a better value right there. Okay. This pretty much goes right down to this stem, or vein I should say, not stem. outside. I'm just laying in color. This color goes right up above here. That highlight in there. And it does go into a yellow value. So we're going to go right back up to the highlight of the stem of the rose. Alright, now right next to the stem down here is this highlight value. There we go. And on the other side too of the stem. And I had the stem pretty wide, so we'll thin that out a little bit as we go. Add this in. A little bit more yellow down here, just so you can see it. Now I'm going to take this yellow, and as you can see on the resource material, there are some jagged edges on this leaf, so we'll create those as we go too. And the edge of this, like that too. Just dry wiping my brush. And now we're going to take a little bit of this darker green. I'm going to actually blend between the two greens I've got. One's pretty gray green and one's a dark green. I'm just going to create a mid value of those. I'm going to run that right down this edge, right on top of that little bit of paint I already put on, right in here. A little bit of a jagged edge over here, but not a lot. All right. Create that outside edge a little bit better. Always want to be thinking about your outside edges. I'm going to pick up that yellow ochre again, and I'm going to just make these a little bit thicker and pull them back into the leaf themselves. Then you know it's a part of the leaf. Dry wiping my brush, and we're going to start blending up here. Make sure you can see me. Creating that outside edge and then that edge down the vein. Let's go over to this side, blend this in. All right. First of all, I don't like this edge. We've got to fix that. I want you to see me do this. And all I'm doing is picking up some of that wet paint that's on there. So we can create an edge that we do like. All right. And I think I got too many of these out here on this edge, so we're going to just try to pick them up. I don't like the effect that we were getting. They didn't look realistic. I had too many of them, I think. But that's what's nice about this oils. You have your background done in acrylics. It really works well. You can just pick it up. Try this edge just a little bit more. You can hear me rubbing right against it. And it might be that the paint underneath it is dry. If it's not coming up. So we're going to try to take it to a point this way once and see. Fuzz on my tip. Now, if you really, really, really wanted to, you could take a nice clean brush and you wanted to make this leaf a little bit different. You could take a wet water brush, just loaded with water only, and pick this paint up. I'm not that unhappy with this, especially since I removed those areas there. I think we'll be okay here. What I do want to do is fill this area in with the green. As long as I'm doing it, I'm going to extend this stem, or vein, I should, center vein, down a little bit further. because I kind of covered it up. There we go, that's better. Just blending everything the way it should be. Yep, I like that better. It's got a nicer point to it than it did have. I've got just a clean tip of the paper towel. Yeah, it's picking that up too, so that'll work too. See, I had very little left on there that I wanted to pick up. That's better. All right. Now, this highlight doesn't really blend into that shadow because that's a shadow. You don't want to blend that in to the highlight at all. But I do want to soften it in to the green underneath. I don't want to lose that shadow, but I don't want it to be real harsh right there either. That's better. All right, we're getting there. I'm just going to try to create these little jagged pieces one more time. Make them a little bit more of a triangle as they come out. Doesn't seem to want to work for me. I want it to be that light, but I want it lighter than what it was. All right. I'm going to just darken these up a little bit. Otherwise, they just don't look like they blend into the leaf at all. And you don't want that. I mean, it is a part of the leaf. I'm going to get that edge back in there a little bit. Yeah, that looks better. There's only one out here, so we'll do it like this. Go a little darker. Didn't look darker, did it? Okay. I don't want them sitting out there like they don't connect. So I'm just trying to make sure it looks like they do. Going to do then is soften these into each other a little bit better. There we go. And that should help them connect a little bit too. All right, that's much better. I think the stem underneath here looks great. Let's reinforce that stem down in here, though it needs it a little bit. Alright, so I'm gonna pick up a little bit of yellow. Not a bright, vibrant yellow, but we do want some yellow on this side of that stem, just to give it another value change. And up in here too. And in such a small area, when I was going back and forth like that, I was actually blending them in. There we go. I'm going to just bring this top portion of this leaf over a little bit better. It didn't look like it was connected to the other part of the leaf itself, so we'll do that. Yeah, that looks better. Just again trying to make these little nodules go in to the leaf better. There we go. Okay, we're gonna leave it there for today, and then we've got one more section to do, and we're gonna do some of these details on. We're going to darken this and create this and this type of thing, and get some veining in there if we want to. We'll see how we like it. If we don't like it, we'll take it off. But we'll reinforce, like the top of this petal here needs to be reinforced like that. We want to leave that shadow. We don't want to soften that at all. Want that to stay. And we'll be done. So one more time together and we'll be done. But thank you so much for watching. Appreciate your watching YouTube with me. And I would really like to have you take a look at my Patreon. art classes. I have quite a few classes on there. It's patreon.com Colleen D. Aiken / Colleen D. Aiken. So thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.